Okay, share my screen. All right, so real quick, okay, the main thing is, we got like a mission statement. So with our mission statement, I'm gonna read it. I can't share my screen for whatever reason, but we aiming to be the number one in mentorship for mindset development, a career ascension, education, and leadership cultivation. So our DNA pretty much is being authentic. We want to be positive, respect all sex, race, religion, political views, and preferences because we for all people. And then we like to have a good time, have a great sense of humor, be funny. It's real low key, you know what I mean? And we always want to bring on individuals that have been shining a light in the community, shining a light in different areas. Specifically, we're real excited about this episode because we want to talk about some things in regards to personal growth, um, and just overall just unlocking that light within us through just reflection. So I think we good to go if everybody shared that on Facebook. Um, and yeah, so welcome back to the Be a Light podcast. It's your boy K Sloan here with my homies.
Jay Jones.
Yes, sir. And then we got the brain right there.
That G in the house.
And then we have a very, very special guest today. Hardworking man, very young in the game, but already very distinguished and accomplished. Really, really proud to know this dude. Great dude I met at Hardin Simmons. While I was playing, actually, he was my strength and conditioning coach. I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Kade Cole. I'm the strength and conditioning coach at Lake Belton High School. I've been there since the school opened in June of 2020.
Sir, yes, sir. We thankful that you came and graced the platform, brother. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, my privilege.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How y'all doing today, man? Let's just open it up. Well, how's everybody doing? Like, what's going on? What was today like on a Sunday? What we got going?
Busy, but
Busy.
cool. Yeah.
Busy.
What y'all doing?
I've
Working.
been working, shopping, fixing cars, and then trying to catch some football in the middle of all of that. But so
When did you become a mechanic?
not really a mechanic, YouTube watcher.
There you go. YouTube University, bro. YouTube
We're gonna get it
University.
done.
Get
So
it done. Man, what you got going on over there, Coach Cole? What you got? The honeydew list? You over there knocking that out today? Or
Shoot,
what?
I worked a little nursery at church today. Then went home and trimmed some trees and spent some time outside with the kids. Caught the end of the Kansas City Chiefs losing the game, so football's over for me.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
welcome.
We
Welcome
all
to our
fit.
season.
As you can see, my shirt, the Cowboys. So welcome.
It's all good, man. It all happens to the best of us. My Bears, man. I'm
Don't
very
don't
familiar with losing, so
don't speak on them.
I feel sorry for none of you. Like we're all here together.
Don't
But
speak on them.
I can speak on that,
They're not in the same class as our teams. All right.
bro. We all losers though. That's why I don't understand why we all lost. Like I don't get why you do that. He does that, but it's like
You're the biggest loser. Okay.
all right, that's good. All right, okay. So anyway, going into introductions, man,
Bruh.
Mr. Cole, Coach Cole, we're gonna kind of focus on just some of the things that I had talked to you about, in regards to like, the impact that you're doing over there at Lake Belton. Because I mean, here we like to shed a light and we want to be positive and kind of tie things into like, where people can grow. We want to give people real value, real gems. You do clinics now. So you're doing clinics, and what's the content in which those clinics are focused around? Because strength and conditioning is obviously your expertise. Like what kind of information are you sharing with people at those clinics right now?
So I put on a clinic on the 21st, the Broncos Strength Performance Clinic. And so we had 4 coaches out, a guy that's been in the game for 30 plus years, TCU, UCLA, Auburn, Rice. He was at Midway High School, East Central High School, was in the XFL. I mean, been everywhere, done it all, coached some really, really good athletes. Then we had a coach that's young in the game, like myself. He's over at Temple High School. Then we had, a 2-time Olympian, 12-time national champion, world champion, weightlifter. And then we had a guy that's, a couple years older than I am, was at Hardin Simmons. He does, he's in strength and conditioning, but he does a lot more outside of strength and conditioning, as far as he's part of some San Antonio, city councils. He's part of his alumni association. He's a vice president of the region for Hardin Simmons Alumni Association, and then he's also does some work at Angelo State where he got his master's degree. So he's kind of does a little bit of everything. Brought a really, really cool perspective. So it was, a lot of it was, strength and conditioning, whether it was sets and reps, whether it was things to worry about, things to not worry about. Some of it was focused on middle school training. Another guy was, kind of talking about the things that were most important to him through his career as a weightlifter, being on the world stage. And then, the last coach kind of talked about adding value to your where you're at as far as, not just being the strength and conditioning coach, but what are you doing that's making it, because it's a really hard profession to evaluate. So, you can go, you can't do it based off record because you may, have the best strength and conditioning coach in the world and you're over there running, the wishbone offense and it's not working because you have no good players. Everybody's 5'5" and shorter and 160 pounds and lighter, and you just don't have the ability to compete in, 6A football, for example.
Right.
So, you can't evaluate wins and losses. Well, then you might have guys that can lift really, really well, but they don't have an athletic gene in their body. So you could go in and everyone cleans 400 pounds, squats 600 pounds, benches 500 pounds, and they go, 0-12. Well, again, is the problem the strength and conditioning program? Are the athletes bad? Is the coaches bad? You can't tell. So he talks about, ways to add value to the school that you're at with the position that you've got in strength and conditioning by, a lot of it is, keeping metrics on how you're reducing injuries, making sure that you're educating not just kids, but their parents on nutrition, which I thought was a really good point that he made because, they're the ones that are going out and buying the food for the kids and making sure that the kids eat. Because honestly, kids forget to eat all the time, which is a huge problem, not just from an athletic standpoint, but from, just being able to function in school, you can't be the best version of yourself if you're, running on Pop-Tarts and Red Bull. So
adults do that too, man. Adults do that too.
And that's part of the problem is the adults are driving what the kids see the adults do it and they should be fine, but then, I could go on forever about how that's messing kids up, heads up. But then this last weekend I spoke at a clinic, the Hutto Sports Performance Clinic. And I was, I really just rambled for about an hour and a half on, my goal was, it's really easy to tell somebody a program, show them a program, say, if you do this, 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 and this time of the year, you do this time of the year, you do this, when you're in season, do this, and you just give them the recipe and they can come in and run it. But, that's not making them a better coach. It's giving them something to work with. But if you're not telling them why you're doing things, if you're not telling them the way things work, why they're being, why they need to be laid out a certain way, then they'll likely just be like, well, this works better for us, and we'll do it this way, and it ruins the whole thing. So, it's the way I look at it is it's teaching them to cook, not just giving them a recipe. So, I was talking about, the way the central nervous system works within the training, the way the mitochondria works from set to set, the way you develop skills, the way, when you're in off season, you've been doing the exact same thing for so long, why it's important that you're rotating what you're doing in off season so that you're not, leading to burnout, leading to fatigue, leading to plateaus. Things like that. So it was an hour and a half it wasn't as well organized as I would have liked it to be, but I was, kind of trying to lay out some ideas of like things that need to be looked at, things that need to be challenged, and not just in strength and conditioning, but also in practice and in the practicing of the sport. A lot of times, the practices are way harder than the games are. And it's, we wonder why people are hurt or people don't want to stay on the team or, why, you're not successful on Friday night is because you've already had your Friday night load on Wednesday, and then everyone's burnt out by the time Friday rolls around, things like that. So
absolutely. So just the dynamics of just how strength and conditioning works, just the breakdown of it all the way down to the minute. And like when I'm listening to you talk, bro, so I I think about this, right? And I think about what you do, what you guys do, and the importance of having a strength and conditioning coach. Because you think about those athletes that they run a parallel to the people in the world that don't have anything. They show up into a new skill, into a new space. I'm a freshman. I've never lifted weights. I don't know how to do it. I may be smaller, like you said. I'm 5'5" or whatever. I'm not supposed to do well at this. But then like I know, and like everybody on this call knows because we have backgrounds in sports and how it works. You have some of these players that develop over years, and then they graduate one of the strongest on the team, one of the fastest on the team. They end up getting to that level of just like, wow, like look at how far you've come, look at the progression. My question is this, because we got a lot of younger people or people that's looking to find a way to level up in their life. What kind of qualities do you think it takes an individual to have just being around, and all of y'all can add to this because we all can. What kind of qualities y'all think it takes to kind of build from the ground up and build a good foundation and kind of keep developing? Like what type of people do you feel like are normally those people that end up getting to that level, getting the real foundation, the real structure, and being able to be successful from like a base of nothing? You know what I'm saying? What do y'all think about that? Like, and I'll start with you, Coach Cole, since you see that, all the time with these, these freshmen, they come in, they look like green beans and they eating Pop Tarts like you said and drinking sodas every night. So what type of profile of a person do you think that normally looks like?
Honestly, if they're disciplined, a lot of good things come out of it. I mean, for me, it's not no one good workout is going to put anybody, on the map. It's going to be stacking days, day after day after day, where a lot of people run into, their whether it's athletes or just people trying to lose weight or people trying to get, healthy, is the weekends tend to blow up the week. So, you might do everything right Monday through Friday. Friday hits, it's the weekend. I'm going to do whatever, eat whatever I want, drink whatever I want. I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm not going to do any of that. And then you just, you've gone 5 steps forward. And really those 2 days have gone 3 or 4 steps back on that 5 days, you made progress. So, a lot of it is discipline from, those kids that come in consistently, show up on time with a good attitude, with great effort to control the things they can control, planning their food out, making sure that they're hydrating, make sure that they're, going to classes, doing a good job. I mean, it's in everything. If you're disciplined in one thing, you tend to be disciplined across the board. You usually don't, people that are truly disciplined don't just are just disciplined in one thing. They're disciplined in many things. So, it's stacking days. That's kind of the biggest thing. It's, to success is making sure that you have a lot of good days. You don't need to have just one perfect day a week. That will never ever get you, to success.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And
I think.
go ahead, bro. I was
Oh,
about to
no,
pass it to you. I
I
was
was
just
gonna
about
say.
to pass it to you.
Oh, you gonna pass to me?
I was gonna pass it to you.
I'm gonna catch
Go
it like
ahead.
CD land. But I was gonna say determined because like when you third or fourth on the depth chart, it's hard, man. It's like you you pass the guy up, but you're still a backup after that. So I think it's determination. It's like you have to really just be like, I don't care. I'm gonna do what I have to do. That one play I get in there, I'm gonna do my thing. In practice, the third string, they might get 1 or 2 plays in practice, but if they keep showing up, they're determined. They never stop. They never give up. The coach kind of notices, like, hey, you see Jones over there, man. Then you might get on special teams, and if from special teams, you might get a spot on defense. So you just have to be determined. I always say never give up. So that's my thing. I've always been determined. I've always been competitive. So if somebody's ahead of me, I'm gonna find my way. If I work out every day, if I run after practice, whatever I need to do to get better, I'm determined to beat that person. So that's my thing. That's one of my favorite words. So.
Nate, what you think, bro?
True. I would add to that a willingness to learn. All right. I think, especially when we're talking about it in an athletic situation, but that would apply to anything in life as well. Sometimes it's not that you truly have no ability, it's that you don't have the proper skill set at the time, right? So get out there, get to practice, whether that's learning a new craft, learning how to be better at your craft. If you're, working on your technique in the sport, anything, that willingness to learn, I think is what's going to help you continue to grow and develop. Because kind of like what Kade said and what Jarrell said, if you're determined, if you're going to show up and put in the disciplined work ethic, willing to learn is going to come with it. You put all of that together, and you're going to see that growth. You're going to see development in the areas that you want.
Absolutely. I think that willingness to learn and just like, with that base foundation, not having it, starting something new, it's like I always saw that the athletes that were okay with looking bad or it being awkward or you know what I mean, like just like being uncomfortable. Like it's
Yeah.
not gonna be comfortable for you. And quick little tidbit to like, I told y'all Kay was my strength and conditioning coach my senior year. He came in and he implemented the way we were front squatting to use my fingers like on front
Oh
squat.
man.
Cause I used to do this joint right here. You know what I'm saying? I used to do this, and he wouldn't let us do it. And
Mm-mm.
bro, and they used to talk about my wrist. Like he's like, well, you gotta have the wrist flexibility. But I'm like, bro, I'm old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm resistant to it. Now, Kate, it's funny because now every time I front squat, I use my fingers. You know what I'm saying?
And
But like back
it
then,
also helps. It helps with cleans too. His dad taught me. I
exactly.
hated it. I hated it until I started power cleaning. I'm like, oh, it
And we're gonna
helps.
get into that. We're gonna get into that. And it's just like I felt like because I had been doing it a certain way for so long, it was hard to break me out of that, especially at that point because I had injuries and things like that. So I'm just like used to doing whatever I'm doing. But a young cat that's like, or anybody that's got a clean slate, like as a mind, like you empty your mind out and you allow things to come in and like, you're like, okay, I don't know this shit, or this is something I'm not aware of, and when I do it, it's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be weird. Hey, just do it, because after a while, if you have that openness and that spirit of just like, hey, what happens happens. I haven't been doing this. I'm gonna get better at this. Then I think that works out a lot better in regards to your development because now you're able to be built on top of versus you trying to take it like you said that recipe. You trying to take the recipe and do something else with it. Like nah, you gotta go by the formula because I think when you take something step by step and you dealing with experts or you dealing with whoever you dealing with and they giving you something that has been tried and true, if you go through the process of it and it works out or doesn't work out, you truly know the results. Like you truly have something to go and take it to the bank. You can say, okay, I tried it all out in the way it's supposed to be done, and this is what I got. And that profile, I think that type of person that's willing to do that is usually more so going to be successful versus somebody that's trying to rely on their ability. You're trying to rely on other things and manipulate the situation to make it what you want it to be. So like, kind of going into like personal growth, bro. Like Coach Cole, yo pops, big Coach Cole was a very big influence in your life.
Legendary.
Man, legendary influence.
Legend.
That was Jay Jones, coach, and then we got Mr. Lifton go. If you know, he popping into the car right now. So, but man, talk a little bit about Pops, man, and just the influence that he had on you, man. Like, let us know what that was like, and I mean, growing up in that household, like, what was that like, man?
Man, so it was pretty cool. So just a little background on Rod Cole, the Rod Cole. He was started out, played NAI football in college, grew up on a farm, played NAI football in college, coached 6 years of high school football, 3 years of junior college football, while he was also the strength and conditioning coach. While he was coaching high school, he knew he wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach. That was what he major college strength and conditioning coach was the goal. He went and studied in Russia and Bulgaria back when it was still the USSR. The old Iron Curtain went behind it, and went and learned from the greatest um, sport performance coaches of all time. The amount of research they did would probably be considered inhumane now. But the communism, it really drove the profession forward probably 100 years based on the rate we're going now. It gave us a lot of great place to start from. Learned a lot of things from that. But so then, worked junior college and then got a job at Kansas State as an assistant strength coach, the losingest football program in the nation. He was 4 months into his job, and the head strength coach, who just recently retired from the New York Giants, left to go work with Tom Coughlin at Boston College. So 4 months in, he's the only guy left. Nobody else wants to come be the strength coach there. It's kind of late in the year, so everyone's kind of got their job. No one wants to go to the worst school in the country. So he gets kind of an interim basis, and they go to a bowl game and win. So the first time they've been to a bowl game in probably 20 years. The first time they've ever won a bowl game. So then Bill Snyder trusts him with another chance. So the next year they do great. So he's the guy. And so they were extremely successful. He worked with 50 plus NFL draft picks, over 100 NFL football players. He worked with Olympic silver medalists while he was there. Got to work with a lot of great players. So growing up with that, it was not a weird profession to me. That my dad was a strength coach. I thought everyone knew what that was. Hardly anyone knew what that was. And I think even now people have kind of a skewed idea of what all the job entails. But I grew up with it. I was homeschooled, so my PE was going to the weight room at Kansas State, and we overhead squatted, front squatted, did hang cleans, and jumped on plyo boxes. Like that was PE every week, and
Well,
so it was kind of a cool experience.
You were bred for this.
Oh yeah, I don't remember learning how to do a hang clean. Like that's something like walking, crawling, doing hang cleans. Like they all like that was before memories. I've seen videos of siblings of mine learning how to do them when they were like 1.5, 2 years old.
What?
So like with a broomstick. So like it was like
No.
that was my dad knew it and he loved it and that's what he wanted to pass on, and so he did, and we learned how to do it. And I always enjoyed it when I got into high school. So I moved from Kansas to Texas at the start of high school, and thinking out of 8th grade, I rolled through everyone. I thought I was I was about as big as I was going to be by the end of 8th grade. So I thought I was going to be 6'4" and D1 and all that. And so then when I moved to Texas and I got my butt kicked around for about the whole year, and a couple of times I said, do I really want to play football anymore? I went and bought a squat rack. At that time, my dad got let go at Texas A&M. They all got let go. So he trained me in the garage for a year. And that was the most fun year of my life, just learning. The next year, my junior year, we moved to Stephenville, and my mom, starting to apply to colleges. My mom's like, you need to figure out what you're going to do. You can't just be a jock your whole life. I said, wait a minute. Yes, I can. So that's kind of what got me, and then, after that I spent every day, 12:30, I rolled into the Tarleton weight room and got to work out and, hang out with my dad and see, the GAs and stuff like that. It was an awesome experience to get to, kind of grow up with that and get to see what it looked like on a college level. I got to spend a lot more time around it when, once he got to Tarleton. Just, the D1 life is so little free time. So, it was a great experience getting to grow up with him. He was a very, very disciplined man. I think he missed work one time for being sick the entire time growing up. And I thought he got fired because he was still in bed at 7 a.m. Yeah. And my mom was like, no, he's got the flu and he didn't really have anything going on today. I was like, that's crazy. That's never happened before. I was a senior in high school at that point. So, but yeah, so, I mean, he's very, very, very disciplined man. Man of very, very high character. He was never, ever going to get fired for something that he did. That was something that was, his just a testament to his character was he was never going to do anything where it was like, that guy, that's misconduct. He's out. No, it never happened. So, getting to grow up with that example was pretty great. So, a huge influence on me.
That's big because, like you said, getting to grow up with that example. I mean, you had that figure in your household to where it's like, to not live up to that, it would have been like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody would look at you like, this is your dad, Like, it's like, yeah. It's like, how do you mess that up?
I know who your dad is. I expect a lot more out of you. I heard that one time my freshman year. I was like, all right, let's pull it together.
Yeah, and I could only imagine what kind of pressure, that would be in regards to having that type of, expectation on you. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit, but like, we always talk about like mentorship, like how it's important to have a good example around. And to have that in your house, I mean, that's a blessing. And I mean, I guess the rest of y'all, man, like, Mr. Lifton Go, we can start with you, bro, because, you just showed up. What's good, Mr. Lifton Go?
He gonna throw me on the bus, huh?
Nah, I'm gonna do you because you be doing me like that.
I don't ever do you like that on camera.
But listen, my thing is this. What do y'all think it's like as far as the expectations? Because there is an expectation. We all, I mean, Jarrell and DeMarcus, y'all talk about it all the time. Just like, how Jarrell, you didn't want to let your brother down. You saw the way he did things and how you didn't want to lay him down. And then Nate, I've talked to you before about with your pops and just kind of what the way he kind of raised you in a way. I could speak on it like this. My dad also was a coach, and I know for sure like it was also like I had to make sure I was running all the time. Like he always made us like from day one. I had to be able to go a mile straight warm up. Like it was like we're gonna go out there, we're gonna run because he's a track guy. It's like, Dad, I don't feel like running, but like this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna be fast, right? You're gonna take care of your grades. We lost Jarrell. But you're gonna do certain things a certain way because like this is your pops. Like he's a Hall of Fame track and field athlete. Like you're not gonna be slow. And like, what can y'all speak on expectations? Like, can y'all speak on that a little bit, guys? What's your like? Because I know
That's what,
Jarrell back. We're gonna get him back in here. But speak on that.
that's what I wanted to ask Mr. Cole. I mean, I know Mr. Cole's the guest, but Mr. Cole, with your dad having the prestige that he had, do you feel like how people say there's a big shoes to fill? Did you feel that pressure, or was it with just like this is what I do because this is all I know?
I mean, it was a little bit. It was what I knew. So when I was put in a tough situation, I could kind of revert to the example that I had seen, and the best way I knew how to do it. The pressure definitely wasn't put on by my dad, which was, looking back on it was really, really interesting. That's not always the case. But the pressure, I feel like a lot, for him, it was you were allowed to pick your own way, but if you're wrong, it's gonna cost you, and you're gonna pay the price if you're wrong. So, so the pressure really wasn't put on by him, but yes, there was definitely like there in my mind there was always a pressure to, that name that I've got is the same name that he's got, and the same name that my mom and all my siblings have. So I can't, don't mar the name and make sure that you represent the family well. And so that for me, that was, a pretty big driver in all of it. So, but yeah, most of it was leaning on what I knew, what I had seen, what I was familiar with, rather than, than try to go and make it up on my own, because I already knew what success looked like. So I wasn't going to try to go reinvent the wheel. I'm not that creative of a guy to go and just reinvent stuff like that.
It's interesting that you say that because kind of the influence of a name, I can say that I didn't understand that until I started having kids. And I was like, name means something. And I worked for this name to mean something. My dad worked for this name to mean something. So just know, the offspring, you have to work to continue the name. And like you said, people that knew you by the name or by what your dad set forth, they would chastise you too. Like, hey, I know who your dad is. That's not how y'all roll. That's not how they set things forth. So, yeah, that's really influential in a way that it's not direct pressure, but it is indirect pressure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, and then the name working out for you, like your kids to you and you to your kids. You want to make sure that your kids go out with they have a best foot forward because people know who you are. Oh, they're your kids. All right, they already start 3 steps ahead because of the way their parents are.
Yeah. And I think that like to me like and I feel like environment is stronger than nature. So when we talking about the environment that we come up in, like it definitely plays a role in how you see your name. Some people don't necessarily have a expectation for their name, right? Some people come up in situations where your name might be not that high prestige, or the representation may not be there. And I think it's important on both sides, right? Whether you got a representation of a name that's like, it's you need to make sure you hold yourself accountable because of who your family is, or the fact that your name may not hold much weight right now. You need to build that up. Like we said, like make sure the lineage can be proud of what you've done. Like when you leave here, it's about legacy. And I think that's important, is being able to pass down legacy to our kids. And if you are young, just understanding that you're building legacy every single day. Like we are constantly building legacy, and we have to be aware of that. And I think that's the biggest thing for me personally that helped me grow as a man. Like when I was like 20, I didn't understand it, but then as I saw my daughter's eyes for the first time, it was like legacy. It's like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, I got to be the man that she's going to go find. Got it. You know what I mean? Like, I knew certain things from my environment growing up, but then when I saw that, okay, look down the road, she's going to be my age one day, and she's going to be in a situation where she's going to have to make decisions that I make, and I'm going to literally lay the framework of how you do things. Like, I'm going to be the one to do that for you, and you're literally depending on me creating that environment for you. Legacy, you know, setting them up. So, I mean, for sure, I agree with y'all talking about.
I was out for a minute because my granddad called me. That's the one I always talk about anyway. But he kept calling. I was like, Granddad, leave me alone. I'm on Zoom on my phone. But he taught me at a young age, and it's not even my last name. Like, that's my mom's last name, the Joe Bears. But in Louisiana, it's a real prestigious name. So since I've been a kid, he kind of taught me, like, hey, people watching you, you know. When you go out there, know, even if you don't know, it's people watching you. So don't act out. Mm-hmm. So since I've been young, I've been trying to like live up to that name. It's not even my last name, but that's how people know me. They know me by the Joe Bears, you know. So it was I ain't gonna lie, I felt pressure from the jump. And then all my people been football players and everything. So it's like nobody pressured me into playing football. But when I started, I knew like if I wasn't good, people would be like, oh, that's the one cousin that kind of sucked, you know. Because I had so many cousins that, you know, made it to D1 colleges and everything, or even D2, just college period. So just having that pressure as a little kid, like I said, that determination, it kind of helped me get through life, because at some points it was hard to deal with that pressure.
It's real. Like y'all saying though, with a name, I would say it's as real as your father is like your first role model, especially for a young boy, right? That's your first real point of reference. And it hits even harder for me, you know. You talk about namesakes. I'm really Nathaniel Golden III. So yeah. it's generational, right? So that's my pops, that's my grandfather, both are great men. So I have those reference points to go back and look at, to consult with, anything like that, help you stay on the track that you're supposed to stay on. And I think that kind of alleviates that pressure, you know, at the same time. Like, it's there, it's gonna be on you. But when you have people to guide you, ones who establish that pressure is in the
right.
That's true. Absolutely. And then, like, so when talking about, you know, the namesake and rolling into like ownership, right? Ownership of our names, like ownership of who we are, ownership of what we represent. What do you guys think? And this is for everybody. What do you guys think is important in regards to, you know, keeping your mind on carrying the torch for your family, right? Because we all men on this call that are responsible for either our wives, our kids, our little brothers, older brothers, mothers. You know, we have families that look to us to be a certain person, right? What does it take mentally to be able to consistently, you know, carry out tasks, be a manager of my own life, take accountability, responsibility? What do y'all think? Like, what type of things are on your mind daily to be able to cultivate that? Because, you know, the reality of it is there's a lot of men that struggle with that responsibility. Responsibility is something that a lot of men cower from. And it's because responsibility says that I have to be up on time. It says that I have to work my butt off. It says I have to go to work when I don't feel like it. Because like Coach Cole, like you just said, you know, your pops to go to work every single day except for one. There's not a lot of Americans that can say they do that. I mean, we got literally PTO built in to where cats can not go to work for a long time. So especially with, you know, the climate we in now. So like, what do y'all think? What kind of mindset does it take to be able to take that kind of accountability to carry the torch of your whole family, your whole family's name? Like, what do y'all? What's your thoughts on that?
Mr. Cole, go first. He's the guest.
Oh, I was like,
all right. All right. So for me personally, I think it's my faith in Jesus Christ. It's it's you know, knowing I, you know, that I've got to, you know, love my wife the way Christ loved the church. So that's sacrificial, no matter how bad it gets. It's me making sure that I'm loving her. What does that mean? It means that I go to work to make sure we can pay the bills. It means, you know, when I get home from work, that means I'm helping take care of the kids because she's been taking care of them all day. And that's, you know, I'm serving her. She's not serving me. It's, raising my children up in the faith, raising my children up in a household of consistent love and nurturing and growth, and not, and to be in a position where they don't really know what they're going to get from day to day. So for me personally, that's what, kind of drives me is, the mindset of following Christ is therefore serving my family. If I'm serving my family well, I'm going to work, I'm coming home, I'm serving them when I'm at home, I'm serving them when I'm at work. I'm, making the name mean something, something that's, to be proud of, something that's going to benefit them in their futures, and not just, just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it sticks, kind of flying off the handle whenever I feel like it, things like that. Not doing things for me, but doing things to serve them, and to lay down my life to make sure that they have what they need, that they are growing into followers of Christ, that they're, my wife is deepening her relationship, and my children are being pointed in the direction of Christ. So that's, for me, that's what drives me. That's, because I know that on my own, I can't do any of it myself. So I have no confidence in me, myself, and who I am as a human being.
The battle of the flesh. The battle of the flesh. Because that flesh is weak, right? It's weak.
Absolutely.
And we strengthened by God Himself, and I think, man, like the structure is so necessary for our family, like to be able to be that figurehead, to be that representation, and that calm. It's like, how can I be calm in the storm if there's nothing that stays consistent? Like, we got to be that consistent figure piece. It's like I got to know, Dad, that you're gonna go to work, that you're gonna take care of the house, you're gonna be there to protect us, provide security and safety. I gotta know that, and the only way that I think us as men, it's not too much of a burden for us, is if we do have faith unseen, right? Faith unseen, and I think with me, what kind of drives me with that is just knowing that every day is not promised. Like, I know one day, I mean, I'm not gonna be here. I won't have any more opportunities to be able to provide those things for my family. So it's almost like I'm at a frantic rate of preparation and execution. It's like I got to continue to do what I'm called to do, what I'm supposed to do. If I'm taking days off, if I'm taking breaks unnecessarily when things are not done yet, then I'm being irresponsible. And really, I'm not honoring God doing that. I'm not honoring my family doing that. I'm just a bane of existence. I think a man that can't take care of his family at all times, he's not really a man to me. That's the way I see things. Like, and that's just my personal opinion. I think once you're a little boy at that point, you need to be taken care of. You need, or you just need assistance, and it's okay. I think we're all different maturity levels, no matter what your age, but you gotta take accountability and you gotta own it, and I'll let y'all kind of add to that.
Mr. Lipton, go.
You know.
I think me and Nate talked about this one time before, is that y'all both kind of hit on it, but when you get to a certain age and you have other people depending on you, or a family, a wife, kids, a job, whatever, I think as a man, Nate used another word, I don't know if you remember, but as a man, you got to understand sacrifice, and you are the sacrifice. But the sacrifice is for the greater good. Like, you are the sacrifice, but it's for the greater good of whatever you're sacrificing it for. And just like Mr. Cole said, we can take that all the way back to the biblical days. Like, Jesus Christ sacrificed Himself for the greater good for everybody. Same thing as we do. We sacrifice. We might want to do certain things, and kind of like Mr. Cole said, I don't know if I would be this great man if I didn't have this surrounding around me. So I sacrifice my desires, my wants, or even the stuff that I don't really want to push myself for, because I'm sacrificing this little stuff for the bigger stuff for my family, my kids, the representation of our name, the prestige of the family, everything, so that we can push everything forward. So that's kind of my answer. Kind of ties everything together, but understand the sacrifice. Like you said, a young man or a little boy, he ain't sacrificing nothing. He's selfish. He want everything for himself. Give me. I'm not giving nothing though. I want 100%. Sometimes when we're younger, sometimes we laugh at some of these older men, like, man, you this or you that, or you let your woman want you. But if you really get to it and see what's underneath, you be like, oh, okay, I see what he doing.
Mhm.
So sacrifice.
I would say what makes it easier to make that sacrifice and kind of stay on that track and have those goals in mind is really awareness and understanding, right? Like awareness of the roles that you're taking on and understanding what those roles really entail. Like it's not really even sacrifice when you already know this is something that's going to be required of you, right? Like that's just what it is. We talking with a strength and conditioning coach. It's not really that we were sacrificing because we knew we had a 6 a.m. workout, right? And you already knew. You knew when you signed that paper, this was part of the deal. So when you're taking on certain roles, especially when we're talking about guys who, let's just say, shy away from those responsibilities, right? I'm not gonna call people bums today, but y'all know who y'all are.
Not bumps in there.
So, but if you're shying away from those responsibilities, it's just understanding, what it is that you were getting yourself into. It's one thing to, get blindsided with something, but when you make conscious decisions, be really conscious about it. Understand the full scope of what you're getting yourself into. And like you said, with maturity, it's probably too mature for people who aren't ready to actually do it. But you have to try to understand, are you ready for that kind of a role? Are you ready for that responsibility? Because if you're not and you throw yourself into that head first, now it becomes a lot harder to make those sacrifices.
Yeah, you're right about that word awareness, Nate, because if you're aware, if you know, hey, I'm not ready to be a dad, I'm not ready to be a husband, just stay away. Yeah, move different. Like, hey, I'm not ready for that. So yeah. So like the biggest thing is, like you said, Nate, awareness. When I was in my 20s, mid-20s, up to about 28, 29, I was selfish, but I knew that. So I knew I didn't need any kids. I knew I didn't want a wife. It was more like, hey, I'm trying to get where I want to go first. I want to get my bank account to this certain thing before I start anything. So, but I was aware of that. So I don't have any kids. I wasn't married. So I didn't bring anybody else into my situation. So being aware and knowing what you're doing is huge. And when we're talking about being a man. So.
Absolutely. And when you decide, after you have made a decision, right? Even if you made a decision blindly, you have to live with that decision.
Right.
You have to ride that decision out because it was your decision. And
Right.
that's power, is because we have power and response. So I think that's something that we don't want to neglect here, because we do want to make sure we self-aware. And that's why you got to practice the pause. You got to wait. And you got to really, reflect, go inward, talk to God. But once you make a decision, that decision is yours. You own it. And you take it where it goes next. And we can't be deflecting responsibility. That's something that we cannot do. So then, kind of pivoting, I like that the way that Coach Cole put this. So I want to kind of touch on it, just the recipe versus cooking, right? Dealing with the recipe versus dealing with just cooking. Can you kind of break that down for us, what that means in regards to what you do and your expertise, Coach Cole, and we can kind of dive into how this kind of cross apply.
Yeah. So, I mean, so the way I meant that was, I can give you a recipe for whatever, and you'll know, if you follow all these steps and you do it just the way I laid it out, you're going to get this result. But if I teach you how to cook, whereas I'm teaching you how the different ingredients interact together, the different things that happen with different ingredients when you start to apply heat, when you apply it, early versus late versus, really high heat versus low heat for a long time, different things, you kind of understand, then you learn to understand, the different, effects, kind of the chemistry of things, the way things work. So like, another example I use is like doctors. You've got some doctors that are, you're run of the mill. They went to med school. They were really good at studying. They can come in, they can check all the boxes of symptoms, and they know, okay, if I check all these boxes, that means you've got, this disease. So okay, under that disease, what medicine do I give you? Oh, that medicine. There you go. So it's kind of the formula. But then you've got other doctors that come, okay, what are your symptoms? What are you feeling? Well, what do you feel with this? What do you feel with that? They know the questions to ask. They understand the physiology of the body. And then they can really find out, okay, you can take this medicine, it'll help with your symptoms. But if you do this, this, and this, you change this in your life, this is what's going to heal you. And it's going to lead to you not having this problem again. You're not coming back in 6 months because you've got the same problem. And then I just check all the boxes again and hand you the same prescription. So that's kind of the same idea, is if you know how everything works together, you can make adjustments. Okay, maybe I really like the recipe that you gave me, but I don't need it. So say, I gave you a recipe for, this brisket, but it's, I like mine a little bit sweeter than you do. Well, that's too sweet. This isn't going to fit. These people like more savory. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to change these things, swap these things out with these other things, and I'm going to cook it differently. And then boom, this fits my crowd better, So understanding how to change things to where you trying to get to the result versus, oh, I follow this plan. Great. I know how to follow the plan. So no matter what, I'm always going to get this one thing. It gives you the ability to change things, actually, understand the way things are happening and, come to the result that you need to come to for your situation. It's, becomes more specific to you.
I like that because it reminds me of the teacher and the student. It reminds me of that relationship, like why the student has to respect the teacher even if the student has learned the information and they got a plethora of information. Like you can have all this information you want about a subject, but you have to respect the person that has the experience, right? You got to respect the experience because the experience says I can cook, I can alter, I can fix it in a way that I could show you different ways to do something with this recipe. Like I think that's something that we have not. It's almost lost in today's culture. We don't have respect for what people have done like we used to. Right? It's not the same. I feel like because we're in the information age, like Google, TikTok, YouTube, you can get everything like right now. Like we could all find out information on a subject and talk like we know it, but we could not know it because we have not applied it yet. And I think that's something that is really important to know, man. It's like you gotta take the experience that people have and really like get yourself in it. Like do internships. Like be around people that's doing things that are great, even if you already know of it. Because seeing people applying it with them, working together, I think that's something that I think about with this, like learning to cook, like really learning how to cook it. Like don't just like say, okay, I know the recipe. Like I know that it got two pints of this and a dash of that, and I already know that stuff. Like no, you don't because you can't cook it. Like if I literally take one of those pieces out of it, you're gonna be looking like like no, because you don't know it yet. So be humble and let somebody like that has some experience teach you how to cook. So what y'all think about that?
I agree, man. I think that's growth, that's gaining experience, that's all of those things, right? And it's like we say in sports, it's a copycat league, right? It's a copycat world, but to be successful, you got to be able to put your own little touch on it. You have to be able to, at some point, do it in a way that suits you the best. You can learn a winning formula, and you're going to tailor it to yourself, but you don't do that overnight, right? It's being mentored, it's learning from experience. Even what you said about the information age, a lot of that is just people, trying to get clout that they ain't earned or something, right? Because even if you find it on the internet, it's still somebody else's information. You still learn that from whatever source it is, right? So we have an easier medium to attain that knowledge, but you just got to be able to go through the growth process. And sometimes it's an uncomfortable process.
Yeah, that's just like somebody that can. Two examples, like I got a homeboy that can really cook. I can't cook. So you get two people and like, can you cook? And he's looking at me, I'm gonna be looking at the recipe for the steps. Like Kerry said, you take one of the steps out, we're not gonna get the meal that's on the picture. I got a homeboy that can look at a picture and be like, oh, I see what's in there. I can make that. That's a cook. Like they already know. Or a mechanic, somebody who's looking on YouTube, you're not gonna be too confident with that person that's fixing your car, watch the YouTube. Plus a mechanic that's gonna be, old school mechanics, they get out there, what's your car doing? What it sound like? Have you had this? Have you had that? Oh, I know what's wrong with it. I'll fix that.
Yep.
So there is a difference. Like, like y'all said, you can get the information, but just because you got the information, I mean you experience it, I mean you know what you're doing. So I agree with all that.
And sometimes we don't have to be it's when we're too prideful is when we don't give other people credit or we don't want to learn. So pride is something we just have to let go of sometimes. You have to learn. It's okay to learn from somebody else. If Kade teaches me how to hang clean, I can teach somebody else. If I learn from a master, then I can teach somebody else. So that thing, this pride thing that we hold on to really hurts us at the end. If I can learn from somebody, I can help the world. So that's the thing with me. I try not to be as prideful, as I used to be. Because sometimes, when you're younger, you're like, man, I know everything. You can't teach me anything. But as you get older and more wiser, you understand, like, man, I can learn from anybody. So just lose that pride. Try to gain some knowledge from people that know what they're talking about. And then you can go out and teach the world. You can help the world. So.
Man,
I was never as smart as I was when I was 18. I just knew everything when I was 18.
Yeah, exactly.
I know so much less right now than I did.
Exactly. So.
You know what J. Cole said, man. J. Cole, pride
is the devil.
It's the devil, man. It got a hold on me. But man, so we done had a magnetic conversation overall. Coach Cole, you brought it. But the thing we like to do before we exit is we like to talk about how to unlock that light within, being able to illuminate and being able to, continue to shed that light on everybody we come across contact with. So we kind of want to know, man, we'll start with you and then we'll all go around like one quick hitter. How do you unlock that light within your realm of your expertise?
And I think a lot of it is when you put yourself in a position of serving others. When you're, the two great commandments was to love God and to love others. So when you're serving others like they're as important as yourself, you'll notice a lot of doors start to come open. Not that people are owing you, but when you do things, when you humble yourself to go and serve people and to look out for their best interest, then you not start to see that trend. They start getting comfortable doing the same in return, doing the same for other people, and it helps. That's in my opinion, that's what helps build community, and that's and strengthens community. So I think if you're loving God, having a common goal, a common interest, and then loving others, serving each other. I think that builds, really, really strong communities that are aimed in the same direction, that have a lot of commonalities going forward. So that's, I think that's really, really big to just, and even if it's somewhere that's not in your tight group, you still go out and you serve people. You're going to notice a difference. You're going to get treated differently because you're that guy that it doesn't matter who they are. You're treating everyone the same and you're treating everyone with love. And it makes a huge difference the way, people perceive you, to your reputation. Again, we talked about the name, and the way people start to then treat each other. So, yeah, man, I think a lot of it is just service to other people.
Sure. Fellas?
I got lost. Mr. Cole, I just want him to put both his arms in the picture because I can't pay attention.
Something wrong with him.
You got lost in the forearms. You got lost in that forearm pump.
Bro, I'm gonna do anything he say because if I can hit with one of them things, man, it's over.
It's been magnetic though, bro. You brought it, Coach Cole. We appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. We ain't. You ain't saying that to care. How you gonna end the show with that?
Brother, I would love to, but I gotta get Kade to
9:05.
the bed. I gotta get Kade to the bed. So
positivity, y'all. Stay positive. Stay positive.
Stay on schedule, man.
Man,
time, but he don't start on.
That's discipline.
DeMar, you know what I'm saying? Look, Coach Cole brought it. You know what I'm saying? We all made it here, right? We all made it here. I'm thankful. Coach Cole, any last words for everybody?
Man, I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and help just put a little perspective on. We talked about a little bit what it means to be a man. When we're looking, things for growth, things for success. How to shine a light in our community. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of it. Love what y'all are doing, and I'm glad I could share a little bit of it.
Thanks, Coach Cole.
Appreciate you, Coach Cole, and keep doing your thing, man. Stay purple. But hey guys, we out of here. Y'all be blessed, be light.
Go Cowboys.
Go losers.
Go off season.